Hello, it's Alex Lovehall, the Fighting Gamer, and like a lot of other people, I got more excited seeing Marvel Tokon news. More importantly, it's the character speculation time. So if you saw the trailer, which I'm pretty sure you did, at the end you're going to see a screen that says which team will be assembled first. It's going to have Storm, Captain America, Spider-Man, Doctor Doom, and Ghost Rider. Storm is lit up. Now, if we're going to use the trailer and who they reveal as kind of like a guide or like a compass to who they're going to reveal, so far it seems to be two faces, one rising star, and one unknown. Now, of course, this is just my take on how they're going to announce characters or how they're going to build a team. It could be completely different. But for right now, I'm going to be following the format of two faces, one rising star, and one unknown for three main reasons. One, it kind of follows the trend that we've already seen, so it's a little bit more likely. Two, it gives me a little bit of a challenge besides just picking my favorite characters all day. And three, it kind of gives me a way to look at the game more from a different perspective than just a fan who likes Marvel, and kind of how a company would decide what characters to put in their fighting games. So right now, we already know the X-Men team, which again is not the X-Men team I would pick fully, but that's a different video altogether, which is Storm, Wolverine, Magic, and Danger. So right now, let's build the Avengers team. So as I said earlier, it's probably going to be two faces, a rising star, and an unknown. Now, faces, for me, they're going to be a lot of characters at this point from the MCU. You can consider a lot of those MCU characters rising stars, but honestly, the Avengers are kind of a rising stars team as a whole, so I would say Captain America and Iron Man for sure are on the Avengers team, right? Iron Man could be in another team coming up later on, but we'll see. Some other characters are like Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, Black Panther, Vision, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel. Again, there's an argument to be made that those characters are rising stars as well, but at this point, the way the MCU blew the fuck up, I'll consider them faces. Some rising stars are going to be like Wonder Man, Spider-Woman, Ant-Man, Sentry. And to be honest, I'm not the most familiar with Avengers lore and the team build-up, because like there's New Avengers, Young Avengers, West Coast Avengers. There's a bunch of different Avengers team, right? So I could be here all day. So I'm just going to go for the basic, what you're thinking of. So for my four, I'm probably going to go with Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk is probably going to be there, or Thor, because Thor is already in the three statues on the stage. So either that deconfirms him as a playable character, which I don't think it does, or Hulk. One of those two has got to be there. Those are like the two popular, or the big three of the Marvel, right? So I'm gonna go with Hulk or Thor, and then I would personally like Black Panther as well, which again, he'd kind of be a rising star. But if they were going to pick somebody else, it'd probably be Hulk or Thor first. And then, again, unknown, I have no idea. So I'm really just going to pick, I'm going to just stick with what I said earlier, because, again, I don't know the unknown characters, so there's no point to speculate. Now, Spider-Man's an interesting case, because I don't know what team he would run. Would it be a Spider-Verse team? Would it be a Web Warriors team? Would it be a street-level heroes team? I don't know. I don't think they're going to do 4 Spider characters at once on one team. If they do, I'd be surprised, and I wouldn't be mad about it, because there's some Spider characters like Ben Reilly, Miguel O'Hara, Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen, Silk that I like. However, in terms of a fighting game roster, it seems a little heavy-handed to do 4 Spider characters at once. But again, for some of the faces, you have Miles, Gwen, Venom, Green Goblin, Daredevil, Black Cat, Carnage, and then Rising Stars would kind of be like Moreland or Miguel O'Hara, Ezekiel, even Spider-Woman. I don't know if I said her yet. And then unknowns would probably be like Ben Reilly or Spider-Girl, or honestly, there's way more Spider-Man characters than that. I'm just trying to think of characters that would be on a team together, and also characters that would fit this motif. So the ones that I'm going with that they would probably pick are going to be Spider-Man, Venom, Miles or Gwen, and Miguel O'Hara, right? Mainly because the Spider-Verse movies went dummy crazy. They already got Peter Parker there, and you're going to probably think of Miles, Gwen, and Miguel first before you think of anybody else. And a character you would think before those three is probably Venom, right? Venom's dang near in every crossover ever, all the time. So Venom is probably a for sure pick. Now, who they pick after that, I don't know. Now, who do I actually want? Me personally, I'd probably pick Spider-Man, or let me rephrase that, Peter Parker, Daredevil, Miles Morales, and Ben Reilly. Now, admittedly, like I said, 3 Spider characters, kind of heavy-handed, so they didn't use Miles, so he's on another team. You could put him with Miss Marvel, right? Or you could just probably not put him in the game. I don't know what they're gonna do. And then if you don't use Venom, you could replace him with Spider-Girl. But again, Spider-Man is one of the teams where it's like, I'm not really sure. So for Ghost Rider, right, I don't like the Robbie Reyes version. I'm more of a Daddy Ketch, maybe Johnny Blaze, but I'm not the biggest Ghost Rider fan anyway. But he could do Midnight Suns, or he could be the Champions. Now, from what I was looking up, he's not really on the Champions too much, but depending on how they want to position Robbie Reyes, he could fit as a champion. But I think he would probably fit better on a Midnight Suns team. And for Midnight Suns, we got Blade, Doctor Strange, Elsa Bloodstone, Moon Knight, Man-Thing, Iron Fist, Scarlet Spider, which is just Ben Reilly, Morbius, and other characters. And out of this team, I would probably want Ghost Rider, Blade, Iron Fist, and Scarlet Spider. And if you wanted to replace Scarlet Spider, you could probably replace him with Elsa Bloodstone. But depending on how they make her play, I don't know. But if I find as hell woman on the team, I'm not mad at it. But I would probably prefer Scarlet Spider. What they could do is they could put different Spider characters on different teams, because if you have champions, which again, I'm not the biggest fan of that team, but there's Miss Marvel, there's Miles Morales, there's Nova, the Sam Alexander version, Amadeus Cho, Riri Williams, and honestly just a bunch of teenage versions of heroes or their younger apprentices. And Cyclops was on there as a teenager, but I think if you use the teenager version of Cyclops, you're gonna alienate a lot of Cyclops fans. And honestly, if you're gonna do another X-Men team down the line, it's probably smarter to put him on an X-Men team than to put him as a champion somewhere else. Depending, I don't know. But if you were to do this team, I would probably pick Ghost Rider, Miss Marvel, Miles, and Nova. Because again, Miss Marvel's already in the game. And I forgot about punk-ass Star-Lord when I'm making this list. I don't really care for him. I don't like him. Not ever since Infinity War is really what it was up for him. So I completely forgot to consider where he'd be on the team. He'd probably be on the Ghost Rider team now I think about it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So the last team that I kind of am confused about is Doctor Doom's, because the only team that I can realistically think them to put him in would be the Acts of Vengeance or the Prime Movers, which is like an old school team from like the late 80s, early 90s, which is where they had a bunch of a bunch of villains team up and we're like, yo, we're tired of losing. Let's fight people that we usually don't fight. You ever watch a cartoon where they'd be like, oh wow, we fight these guys all the time, so let's switch opponents. Maybe that'll do better for us. It's that. So it'd probably be like Magneto, Kingpin, Red Skull, Wizard, Mandarin, and a bonus pick would be Loki, because that's kind of the person who kind of put it all together. But for Doctor Doom, I would say Magneto, Kingpin, and Red Skull. And they could make Mandarin work. I don't think they're going to go down his original route just because they don't really like to use that stereotypical version. If you could put Loki on this team, it could make sense. They could honestly just make Doctor Doom and his villains. They could completely go left field. But if they want to use the comic origin, I would do Acts of Vengeance. Now, honestly, that's pretty much all I got. I'm not the biggest fan of the 5 teams of 20, especially if they go this route, which I don't know yet. I'll have to see another character team reveal. I just hope they fix the gameplay, because the gameplay with this small enough roster, if it's not solid, it will backfire. If the gameplay is solid and they release characters on a good time, it could work. But with that being said, what characters do you want to see in the game? What teams are you excited to see? Who do you want to see for DLC? It seems that they're doing costumes this time around, which is really different for an Arc Systems game, which I wish they would do that for fighters, but again, we'll see what happens in the future. But like I said, that's pretty much all I got for this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. This is Alex Lovehall, the Fighting Gamer. Remember, live with style and substance. Turn your pain into power. 1% today equals 100% tomorrow. And never forget, and don't forget, I'll catch you in the next round.